Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yovina Claire Pawig of the Agricultural Training Institute. You are in the breakout room on linking producers and consumers through digital platforms and services. We have two presenters in this breakout room this afternoon who will share some of their experiences as startup companies in agriculture and fisheries sector. Okay, to start, at Mr. Rafael Maria Fausto Anonas, the Vice President of Kita Agritech Incorporated, will discuss cultivating change for Filipino farmers, a social startup bridging the gap in agriculture. Rafael Anonas is a passionate leader in agriculture with a deep-rooted love for farming, cultivated from childhood weekends spent on his farm, a family's farm. Over the past 3 decades, Rafael's careers has spanned various sectors from sales, IT, restaurant management, animal feeds, poultry dressing, and agri-inputs distribution, all while maintaining a steadfast commitment to agriculture. Rafael's extensive experience includes managing operations and implementing technological advancement to streamline processes and boost efficiency. He has led teams to significant sales growth and market expansion, always with an eye toward innovation and sustainability. Currently serving as Vice President for Agri-Inputs at Kita.ph, Rafael is at the forefront of farm digitization, connecting farmers with essential resources and financing, and improving market access. His initiatives aim to reduce farming risks through crop advisory services and crop insurance, addressing the challenges posed by climate change. Rafael Anonas applies out-of-the-box thinking with realistic goals to drive meaningful improvements in the agricultural industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Rafael Anonas.
Hi, good morning, everyone. All right, I will try my best not to bore you. It was supposed to be our CEO, Mr. Mark Concho, that was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately, he got called to some VC meeting. So, sabi niya, Pele, ikaw na lang. So, I rushed the press mats. I rushed the presentation material. So, but being with Kita for the last 7 months, I pretty much know uh, how we want to operate, but like the back of my hand. Okay. So yeah, next slide, please. So upon my entry to Kita, they basically didn't have an agri guy on board. So what happened was I had to restructure some of the some of the some of the processes, but basically it's still bridging the gap to a food secure future. This is still the thrust of Kita. Okay, next please. So uh basically we identify the needs of the farmers. So we all know that the farming sector, basically it's the backbone. The farmers provide us with the food. Um, they till and labor the land, and they're also the unsung heroes because we don't really see from the groceries and from the wet markets, the food just arrives on our table without knowing what processes and how much effort has been done to put these things on our table. So what are the things that affect the farmer's capability to basically earn properly uh from from their produce? Years ago, when I was working in the poultry dressing plant in Isabela, I'd have talks with all of my guys, and we talk about various things from climate change to recycling, and basically what my guys told me was we were running 1,000-man poultry dressing plant, and various levels of economic capability on the side of our workers. And they were telling me that, sir, how do you expect us to think about um, where to throw our trash when every day all we think about is how to put food on the table? And you think about it. Um, if you solve that part of it, the education on all the myriad of things that you want to throw into the pot will actually follow because their basic needs are accounted for. Then you can introduce sustainability, recycling, organics, and all of these gamut of items that we really want to embrace moving towards the future. Next is pest management. And the last one is the rising prices of agri inputs. So we all know that, urea, which is the most basic of resources that goes into the farm, the prices do fluctuate. And naturally, who is affected? It's the farmers. It's not going to be uh, the regional distributors that buy it from the manufacturers because they pass it on to who? The general trade outlets. And the general trade outlets will pass it on to who? The farmer through financing. And what happens is, um, I've been in that area also. I worked for a distributor. Same guys that own the dressing plant. They moved me to their agri distribution. And what do the general trade outlets do? They lend their agri inputs to the farmers. So in that lending process, interest comes at a higher price because the inputs are now lent out to the farmers at 20-30% above the suggested retail prices. So, and then at the end of the cycle, the general trade outlet or the financier, as they call them, gets a cut from the produce. So, you see that, I've seen how farmers get consistently squeezed over the years, year on year. Okay. So, when I got a chance to work for Kita and I saw what they wanted to do and where they wanted to go, I said to myself, you know what, you can continue being part of the problem, or you can try to start to be a part of the solution. Because since it's a startup, I had a very stable job, but I said, what do I want to see myself when I retire? Have I really made significant impact? Okay, next please. So like I mentioned, they're the most underserved. So high cost of inputs, high cost of informal financing, climate change, and volatile pricing, when in fact, the solutions for all of these four problems are already existent. So with the agri-input change, you can talk to the manufacturers and go manufacturer direct. I know for a fact that there are a lot of cooperatives that already do this. For climate change, there's crop insurance. PCIC does offer effective crop insurance, not at the free level, but on the level of the paid premiums. I'll get to that in a bit on how we intend to solve it. And then next is farmers in debt. So why do the farmers get heavily in debt? Going to the point that they lose their land to whoever it is that's financing them. It's because whenever they get hit by pests or climate change, they do not have a capacity to repay. So the debt goes on year. It just adds up, right? So what happens is, without a capacity to, how do you call it? Without a capacity to refurbish that debt or to reschedule that debt, basically what happens is their land gets taken, it goes to the financier, and that's it, right? There's no more farming for you. But lest you become a tenant of the financier, then it's a totally other different story of poverty right there, of a poverty cycle right there. And then the next is volatile pricing at trading post level. So you see how they get squeezed on the side of the inputs. And then on the side of their selling their produce, what happens is the traders now squeeze them for price points, and then the traders go direct to market. So again, he gets squeezed from starting from where he buys his products all the way till where he sells his product. So there's no, there's no continuity here. There's no, how would I say it? There's no incentive for them to keep farming. Yeah. Next, please. Okay. So, how was Kita formed? So our program is called Farmer Kita. Okay. So Kita as a play on words. The first one is farmer. We see you, we acknowledge you, and we appreciate you. So we see you for who you are. We see where our food comes from, and we see how we can help you. Next is improve. How do we improve it? We improve by giving them access to better financing options. Instead of going to the financier that charges them exorbitant interests, takes a cut of their harvest, go straight to the formal financing uh, venues, the banks. But the problem with going to the banks is the heavy requirements on paperwork, which we know that, right, ma'am? The, which we know that the farmers cannot, will not, would not do. Just the mere fact that they fill up the forms is already way hassle for them, right? So this is part of where Kita comes in our platform. Next is to educate. So now, we didn't want to stop at just looking for lenders. We also want to educate them better ways of farming, uh, giving them access to technology. In fact, we're developing an AI model already for crop advisory, so that we can monitor, we can geotag their locations, will have their post-harvest viability, so that they can actually know how much they're really earning. I told my boss when I first came in, you have to understand, farmers are all in and all out. So as long as they'll put in everything into that harvest, all the inputs, all the work, and then it's all out, and then they'll sell all of their products. As Then you ask them, so what's your gross profit margin? So what's your cost of goods? There's nothing there, right? They will never tell you, oh sir, I earned, like the finance savvy Metro Manila bankers will tell you, oh, I earned 15% based on my for YTD versus last year. So there's none of that. As long as they get their money back, or they get money, not even back. As long as they get money, they'll plant again. And next year, let's say they'll say, okay, next year I plant again. And when I first started onion production in Nueva Ecija during my stint in my agri-distribution days, one farmer told me, anak, sibuyas, alam mo ang pagsisibuyas ay sugal. Mainam pa, anak, yung pera mo, magmaneho ka sa highway, labas mo yung 100 mo dun sa labas ng bintana mo, tapos bitawan mo. Tapos panoorin mo magkagulo yung mga tao sa likod na hinahabol yung 100 mo. Sabi niya, mainam pa, ganun ang gawin mo, baka matuwa ka pa sa pera mo. Sabi ko, tay, bakit nyo tuloy-tuloy na ginagawa? Abay anak, baka sa 10 beses ako nagtapon ng pera, meron akong 2 beses na tumama. So you think about it, what, 20% chance of winning? Buti pa sabong 50-50 lang. Di ba? Ano lang, sa meron, sa wala. That's it. Okay. Lastly, is to help them, so empower them to improve their practices to guard against climate change. So with that, you'll have, so the answer to that basically is we have satellite AI to help them with their crop advisories. This will come, we will give them this for, for enrolling in our program. Second, access to financing. And next is crop insurance. And then lastly, through trading post digitization. So what is the trading post digitization program of Kita? Basically, we'll create a profile for the farmer just by delivering his goods to the trading post. So every time you go in there, so This is so that they can go to the formal lenders that will charge them modicum interest. Like with Land Bank, their RSF funds, 2%. Their standard interest rates, it's 4 to 7%. Um, you talk to a pawnbroker like Cebuana Luwilyer, charges 3.5% per month. So you think about it, that's a 35% per annum rate. So this is what these guys are getting. They're getting pawn shop rates for their right for their inputs. So that's what we aim to correct. Next, please. Okay. Okay, so start off to create the profile of the farmer. First, we test their soil, so we know exactly what kind of nutrition, and then we ask them on during the onboarding interview. We'll ask them, what do you want to plant? So is your soil viable for whatever you want to plant? Next, so we enroll them in our system. So their enrollment starts creating an identity for them. So now you have a KYC model for the farmers. So we're now merging uh, two technologies so that they can get their IDs and get them the financing that they need. And then next, enroll them in the fintech program and the crop insurance. So all of this, as soon as he puts in his data, okay, we will also cuff out the forms. We will cuff out the forms for Land Bank. We will cuff out the forms for PCIC. So all the farmer really needs to do is sign the paper. As soon as he signs it, he's enrolled, he's protected. At the same time, he has access to good financing opportunities. Next is that we geotag his farm so that we can monitor via satellite. This is for the financiers, for the financing entities. Like we're currently talking to Land Bank, the Rural Bank of Silay. So these are some of the guys that will come on board. And then so we can track their plant growth and harvest. So by tracking their plant growth and harvest, we now can establish a floor price of what their goods should cost at trading post level. So the trader, or we call them consolidators, the consolidators cannot just go to the farmer and say, hey, I'll only buy that for 10 pesos. You know, the farmer can actually put his foot down and say, hey, go home. It cost me 18 pesos to grow this. You either get it at 20 or you go home. Okay. And then lastly, we have our market matching. So we currently have a lot of Horeca clients, hotels, restaurants, and catering services. So now these clients now buy their vegetable needs from us. So for the guys here who are familiar, we're catering to Vikings, Yabu, Manila Hotel, and Shangri-La. So we sell goods to them. So now the farmer can actually go direct to the business establishment. So what happens here is we're at what in the future what we would like to see is that the businesses actually placing an order direct to the farmer. Hey, how many class A carrots do you have? Sir, I'll have 2 tons. I'll need 2 tons this week. So can you reserve your 2 tons just for me? So here you're actually creating some sort of futures market for the farmers. So thus increasing their capacity to earn without the middlemen. Okay, next please. So what we aim to do is really to create convergence to come full circle with the whole ecosystem. Okay, so from financing, we'll have financing, we'll have the package of technology, we'll have the package of the agricultural inputs, sorry, the agricultural inputs, we'll have the farm tech for them, and then supply chain, and then direct to demand. So I think with that model, going end to end, give them the benefits of good, cheap agricultural inputs, and then get them the best prices in the market. Uh, I think it's a win-win for all of us. Next, please. Okay. So here we want to basically build a stronger ecosystem, maybe 2 years down the line, to include drone services and all the nice sexy gadgets that you'd like to have for the farmer, because you'll have economies of scale. So if we have about, let's say, 200, 300 farmers on board, what's a 1 million peso drone that can go around servicing these guys? Okay. So what we'd like to see is to imagine the technology leading the way to alleviate the lives of farmers. That the modern conveniences that we enjoy on a day-to-day basis, Grab, Food Panda, the same kind of technology applied to the lives of the underserved. So the story that I gave my CEO when I got interviewed for the job was, I said, you know what, uh, at 50 years of age, I'd like to imagine the scene of a farmer waking up in the morning. He'll he'll timpla his coffee, and so he's there waiting, and then has his breakfast. So he goes out. He's sort of preparing his mind to get into the field and work. So, and then a van. Here comes a van to his property and say, oh, he'll get up, greet the driver, and say, oh, it's you guys. Out comes the drone, right? Out comes the drone. Out comes the farm equipment, and they'll say, Tay, start na kami. And they'll say, yeah, go ahead. And so, you think about it, the impact that will have on the farmer. Yeah, go start. Go till my field. Go produce my crops. Go take care of my crops. And, at the end of it, he'll watch the drone pass by, all the services being done. All he needs to do is complete the chain. Then it becomes a business that is actually legacy worthy. Then he won't tell his kid to say, he won't tell his kid to, hey, you know what, go study, be a nurse. Go study, be an IT guy so that you can go abroad. Then you create the legacy that the farmer will actually be proud of. And you create the legacy wherein the children, now you have technology involved. Instead of playing Mobile Legends, why don't you look up the satellite app and track our harvest? So it's all of these things coming together. This actually what I envision Kita to be within the next 5 to 10 years. So that is my last slide. Does anyone have questions? Please feel free to go ahead.
Hello. Thank you so much, Sir Pele, for enlightening us on Farmer Kita. Uh, at this point, we can entertain some questions from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
The source of revenue will come from the agri inputs. So what happens is I've crafted a deal with the manufacturers to give me good margins so that I can supply the agri inputs at SRP rates. So we will not go beyond SRP. So the revenue model will just come from the agri inputs. We're not putting anything on top of the interest that the financiers will give. We're not putting anything on top of that. So it will solely come from just the agri inputs.
I am talking on behalf of farmers, sir.
Mhm.
How, say, I am a farmer, how can I access the services provided by the Farmer Kita?
Yeah, ma'am. We're actually online. I can give you my number. You can call me. We'll enroll you and we'll uh, we'll work out a way and connect you to the financing companies, and that's it. That's all that's needed. Mm. Yeah, because we have two models right now. One is the what do you call this? The trading post digitization model. And the other one is just going direct to the farmers. You can go farmers, cooperatives, doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you po, ma'am, for the questions. Wait lang, sir. Can we still entertain, sir? One question from the gentleman.
If the farmer purchase the inputs, they are automatically eligible to access the bundled services.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's
that
all you
sounds
need to
very
do.
promising.
Yeah. That's all you need to do. Enroll. We'll fill up the paperwork for you, sign the paperwork, done.
Have you done or are there cooperatives that been
Yes, we're
gone through
working.
this model?
We're working with one agri-cooperative in Aliaga, Nueva Ecija right now. We're servicing about 20 hectares as part of our pilot program.
Okay po. Unfortunately, we won't be able to entertain other questions. Thank you so much, Sir Pele.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay lang po. Okay, we are now at the second part of this breakout session. Our next topic is entitled, That's a Scam, Barriers to Digitalization in Philippine Agriculture Sector. This will be presented by Ms. Julian Camille Lacsina, the President and CEO of Go Eden PH. Okay. Ms. Julian Camille, or Juca, is the co-founder of an agricultural startup in the Philippines, Go Eden PH. They aim to consolidate fragmented supply chains for a more efficient delivery of agricultural supplies and services to farming communities. Juca is a family of rice farmers and livestock growers in Central Luzon. She is a graduate of BS Agriculture, major in agronomy, cum laude from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. She finished her Master of Business and Science in International Agriculture at the State University of New Jersey, USA, Rutgers University, as a full scholar of USAID's Science, Technology, Research and Innovation for Development, or STRIDE. Prior to working full-time in her startup, Juca has 11 years of varied work experience from the government, the private sector, research institutions, and with the United Nations. She has a broad experience in research, farm establishment and management, contract growing, and project management for agriculture. Currently, she leads her startup towards fundraising and execution towards a more inclusive digital transformation of the agriculture sector in the Philippines, leaving no farmer behind. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Juca Lacsina.
Salamat po. Medyo time crunch po so bibilisin ko magsalita kasi I have 22 slides. Do you have any expats in the house? Just so I can explain things better in context in Filipino. Okay, so I'm Juca po. I'm currently one of the co-founders of Go Eden. What we do essentially is we're building the largest assortment of agri-supplies online. So essentially, we want to be as big as Shopee, but we want to carry all types of assortment of agri-supplies. So currently, we have over 4,000 SKUs on the website. We don't just sell fertilizers, pesticides, the main brands. We sell even non-traditional items like worms, tissue cultured lakatan materials, ganyan, vermicast. So even the non-trad machineries, plastics, aqua plastics, we also sell. So why is my presentation like this? That's a scam because when we were building Go Eden and up to now, ito yung laging sinasabi sa amin. Whenever we have clients, scam yan. Uy, scam yan. Uy, online scam yan. And that's very challenging for us because we always have to defend our stance na hindi kami scam. And I want to present to you the barriers to digitalization in the agri-sector in the Philippines. First-hand experience po itong lahat ng ito. So we deal with thousands of farmers, thousands of inquiries in all our SOCMED channels, and even on our chat support sa website namin. First is, the current behaviors of the Filipino farmer is driven by their past experiences in digital transactions. How did this happen? Let me explain. Example po ito. Familiar po ba kayo, DB Bower scam? So there was an advisory some time ago that marami pong na-scam dito. So this is the typical paiwi type of thing. So ang dami pong OFW yung na-scam dito. So from Singapore, one OFW invested 6 million and got nothing out of it. And sadly, hanggang ngayon, ganito pa rin tayo. Scam culture pa rin ang Philippines. That's why it also deters foreign investments to come in our country. It's very, very problematic for us. So balik po tayo doon. Kita nyo dito, ang nagpa-promise sila ng guaranteed annual returns of 9 to 15%. I mean, come on. You have to be a smart person nowadays to believe that that's too good to be true. Time deposit nga 4% lang annually, di ba? So that's too much of ano. So yan, may penalty sila and napa-close sila and that pwede silang makulong with a maximum fine of 5 million pesos. Next. So, yun ang scam nila. So, isa pa dito is si Mocha Farm. Another thing again, bakit every year na lang laging may ganito sa industriya? So, dito ang scam, very Ponzi scheme-ish. So, ganun din. Ang difference lang ng business model nila is dairy products naman. So, they will solicit public investment and then magpapromise sila ng return sa inyo. So, these scenarios are very hard for us to combat. Kasi this sets a ground na kapag agree, kapag ganito ang transaction, scam yan. And maniwala kayo, this is soliciting public funds, but this cross borders to e-commerce. Araw-araw namin kailangan picturean yung mayor's permit namin, BIR namin, license to operate namin to prove our legitimacy as an entity. Okay? Ito pa, ano to? Reklamo to ng lahat ng kliyente namin. Nagsesend sila ng screenshots ng mga former transactions nila in e-commerce, orange and blue e-commerce platforms, mainstream online marketplaces. Ganito po, example po, umorder po siya ng bottle guard or upo na seeds. Yan po yung dumating sa kanya, hindi po upo, ibang seeds po. Tapos nakaganyan na packaging. O, ito po, black beans po ang natanggap namin. Pero iba po yung binibenta, agarwood daw po. Pero black beans po yung na-receive ng client. Ano pa po, dumating na yung rambutan seeds na purple na order. Scam naman, hindi buto ng rambutan, buto ng pakwan. How do we force ourselves to digitalization if ang past experiences, ang benchmark ito. Ito ang standard. So paano kami doon? Paano kami pupunta telling the farmer, hey, bili na kayo dito online. May online platform nga, nationwide nga yung reach. Ito naman yung kinakalaban mo. So that's very sad and that's very hard for us. Ang liit-liit lang po ng startup namin, but we really try to operate in a way that we can gain maximum impact with the limited space that we have. But hindi namin to battle lang. Battle to ng gobyerno for regulatory enforcement, di ba? Sana may protection yung mga farmers natin when it comes to online transactions. Sana may better scrutiny ng mga taong nagtatransact, for example, in digital marketplaces. Okay, hindi pa yan. O text na lang. Di ba? Kung kailan pumasa ang SIM Registration Act, saka maraming ganyan. Nung mga attendance sheet na sinign-upan nyo ng pandemic, yan na lahat yon. Yan, mga na-refund na yung account, i-click yung link. Farmers and anyone actually is very prone to this. Kaya nga, ang hirap sa amin. Nagmamass market kami sa text ha. Nagta-text blast kami on updated prices ng rice seeds and fertilizers since those are very volatile prices. Anong tag sa amin? Scam, spammer. Because of these precedences. Okay? Now, lahat ng behavior na yan, it feeds to the current purchasing patterns and behaviors of Filipinos using various channels. Where are they purchasing? From Facebook, from TikTok, from Instagram, and from main e-commerce platforms. Ano yung mga behaviors na yan? First, we cannot eliminate COD-based transactions. The fact na may COD and the reason why Shopee gained a very significant share in the market space and the e-commerce space sa Philippines and Southeast Asia, kasi sila ang naunang nag-COD. The reason why we have COD because people are not trusting. Wala silang tiwala. So, ang problem namin dyan, e-commerce kami, Go Eden, we can only accept COD up to 40,000 pesos. Why? Because our 3PLs or third-party logistics providers such as JNT, LBC, JRS, and etc., their ceiling to accept COD is 40,000 pesos. So paano pag ang transaction above 40? Paano kami? We would request down payment sa site. Hindi mag-go through yung transaction. It would request a 50% down payment to guarantee na kami naman hindi kami masascam. Di ba? Ang unfair, yung pressure sa amin to relieve ourselves and deliver and tell our clients that we are legit, but we cannot do the same sa client namin. May mga times na po yan ha, hindi tinakbuhan kami, wala daw pambayad, nag-order, nandun na yung rider, hindi ni-receive yung item, ang mahal-mahal ng Red Lady na papaya seeds, libo-libo, hindi receive kasi daw wala na siyang pera. So, two-way siya. Paano naman kami, di ba? So, yun po siya. So, currently, we're still keeping the COD transactions. For us, we're trying to create a healthier environment. Okay, mag-COD tayo, pag may trust, then we're slowly asking them, yan, may mga nag-Gcash na sa amin, may mga nag-advance payment na. But all of this will not happen overnight. Slow transition to with the agri-sector. Ito po, ganito po kahirap yung kinakaharap namin araw-araw. Yan, assisted procurement, provision of proof of legitimacy. Bini-video call po kami sa Facebook kasi hindi sila maniwalang legit kami. So we have to video call to see yung signage na malaking Go Eden sa opisina namin. Tapos papakita namin lahat ng permits namin, the license to operate, the BIR, the mayor's permit, para lang masatisfy yung client. Ganun po kalala. So that's a lot of time consumed on our end. Instead na instantaneous lang sana yung transaction, kailangan pa rin namin silang i-assist. So the digitalization, hindi to overnight with farmers. This is a mix of manual and digital until you can create incentives to push them towards 100% digital. So hindi po kadaling ganon dahil may startup kami, agad-agad, millions users. We're not there yet. We hope to get there, but we really need collaborative support, especially enforcement of policies from government. Yan po lahat ng reply sa chat sa amin. Peke ang produkto nyo despite our efforts to put everything in Filipino. Lahat na po ng seed pack, tignan nyo po yung Facebook page namin. At i-like nyo na din. Hindi, joke lang. Nag-plug, shameless. Nandun po, seed packet, expiration date, manufacturing date, number of seeds, viability. Even for pesticides, we do that with CPR. Ganun po kalalang informed choice yung gusto naming magawa ng farmer. Yet, despite all of those efforts, ang sasabihin pa rin namin, peke kami. Alam niyo po ba yung due diligence namin to onboard a supplier? Let's say si Brand X, meron siyang 160 list of manufactured pesticides. Lahat po yun, ito-check namin with FPA if they have active registrations for CPR. If wala kang active registration, ligwak. Sorry, hindi ka namin pwedeng ibenta kasi that's what the law says. Kailangan may active CPR ka. Okay? Ganun po siya. So very careful po kami in ensuring we really enforce the highest quality of standards kasi farmers po yung sineserve natin. Okay? Next. Not 100% trusting to transactions, you need to support online orders with text and calls. So may order sa website, it gets through our email. Naka-detail yung address, lahat. Para malaman nilang legit yon, segundo lang po yung pagitan yan. As soon as na-receive namin yung order, call. Sir, we have received your order po. Ito po ba si Sir Benny? Acknowledging receipt po ng order nyo. Mixed pa rin siya ng online and offline transaction. Kaya ganun po ka-tedious. Hindi po joke mag-build ng isang e-commerce platform to really involve and include all our farmers. It's difficult to also ask farmers to retry using a platform if they had a negative UX on first experience, user experience po. So let's say AI app on pest recognition. Ginamit ni farmer. First attempt, hindi accurate yung na-ID na pest. Hindi na po yan gagamitin ni farmer. Based po sa amin na experience na client. So it's hard because we know in AI, it's not perfect. Kahit anong tech, hindi perfect yan. But frequent usage drives AI to be smarter or drives the technology to like have more data points so that it can be smarter. But with farmers, technology has to be near perfect before you can get repeat use, repeat rate. Ganon din po sa amin sa Go Eden. Part po sila ng innovation cycle namin. We have consulted 200 farmers. We sit down with them, different OS, different app devices, laptop, tablets, Samsung, iOS, because sila yung user namin eh. Kailangan mag-adjust yung app sa kanila. So ngayon po, our move is to translate the entire Go Eden into Filipino. Naka-English pa po kasi. So yun siya. Last is they need to associate an entity with a person. So supposedly transactional yung e-commerce, di ba? But no, even with thousands of inquiries and orders, nagiging personal lahat. We have to assist them with text, call, chat, or support kasi that's the only bridge we can establish trust. Yun po yung first step towards digitalization sa amin. Establish trust. When there's enough trust, then we can ask them, sir, baka naman, pwede ka na mag-GCash payments para wala ng COD transactions. Okay? So yun po siya. And our efforts are not just online marketing. Ito lang po yung day na wala ako sa field. More often wala ako sa office ko lagi. Because Monday through Thursday, nasa field ako lagi. I understand the pain points in logistics. I understand what anong qualms ng farmer in COD, paano siya nagbabayad, saan siya nahihirapan, and we educate them. Up to, ilan na ba kami ngayon? Nasa almost 2,000 farmers na na-educate namin, starting from the most remote farming municipalities and farming barangays in Tarlac. Wala po at marketing cost po yan sa Go Eden. So magpapa-raffle kami ng items, mamimigay kami ng long sleeves, magpapa-snacks kami with the hope of educating them to make better informed decisions as to, regardless kung saan nila bilhin yung agri-supplies na nila, that's already a win for us. Kung masa-spot nila that this is expired, an expired pesticide bottle, hindi po nila alam na may expiry ang pesticide bottle. Pesticide bottle, typically po 2 years ang expiry niyan. Then the potency of the active ingredient reduces over time. Hindi po nila alam. May mga stores po na nagbebenta ng expired products. Again, regulatory enforcement. Kahit may license to operate yung tindahan, kung hindi naman pinupulis lagi, anong assurance? Productivity pa lang, production pa lang, talong-talo na yung farmer. Kasi yung inputs na nabili niya, poor quality, seeds na low germ, seeds na expired, ang viability date or so-by date. We never sell those types of inputs at Go Eden. So, last po is that they expect a very fast turnaround time regardless of time of inquiry. So, nakakonect po yung mga personal Facebook accounts namin sa main Facebook page ng Go Eden. 4 a.m. po may magbe-video call na. Kasarapan pa ng himbing ng tulog mo. May, ma'am, yung order ko po. Ganon po sila. So we're now moving towards AI to answer all inquiries. But we have to understand na may limitations yon kasi ang lawak po ng agri. The inquiries on products alone, like thousands of prompts po yan. So we hope that we can try to humanize these transactions. Yun po, they require constant updating on the status of their orders. Hindi po sapat yung site ha, nakalagay for ship, out for shipment, out for delivery. Hindi po yun enough. All our digital marketing efforts backed by offline, lahat tawag yan. So sa office po may 7 active lines kami. Bukas po yung linya na yun 24/7. So bukod pa po doon is that yung sa turnaround time regardless sa inquiry, they do not, yung bot transactions, they associate that as a scam. So lahat po ng automated replies namin, they're very humanized. Hello po sir, kamusta po? Yung kamusta namin, KMSTA. Sinasadya po namin maging ganon so that they would know that there's a person manning the inquiry where in fact all of those are like AI assisted already. But hopefully, yung mga specific na nitty-gritty na transaction, napakarami pong possible combination ng case-by-case scenario sa agri, di ba? Ma'am, may lumilipad po sa field namin, ano po yung gamot dyan? O ba, mali ko kung manananggal yung lumilipad dyan, di ba? Mga ganon, like it's very specific the way we want to create this prompt towards AI. And lastly, they're very traditional. The tawad, bargaining, requesting for discounts, even in e-commerce. Diyos ko po, kakapurat lang po yung margins namin dyan. Pero may tatawad at tatawad pa rin. But we have to recognize that this is the culture. This is status quo. How do we bridge and make this transition smooth and not abrupt for them? Slow transition po yan, hindi mo yan mabibigla na i-com to, kami hari, mag-adjust ka. No, it's always design thinking, we always adjust to the customer. So pag ang transaction value po sa amin, mag-above ng 40,000, automatic discounts are applied po sa nature ng transaction ni farm. Okay? Now, the constraint, bukod doon sa behavior nila, what now are the constraints towards the adoptions of digital tech? Sorry, para na akong hinakapol dito. Next po. So the digital divide, as defined, it's an unequal access to tech and digital skills which can exacerbate existing social and economic inequality. So we're so happy that there's a lot of people operating in our space, kila Sir Sakita. We're so happy that there are people like them assisting the farmers in their needs, di ba? Sa kanila, mas all-in pa. They're bigger, they've been in this industry longer than we have been. Mas maganda yung kanila kasi all in, provide yung inputs, bibigyan kang financing, tapos kukunin, i-absorb pa yung produce mo. Like a model like that, we hope it will grow and it will scale sustainably sa country. Okay? But the first one is infrastructure constraint. Paano kami, kahit may Go Eden PH, alam niyo po ba sa Tarlac alone, ilan yung dead spots na na-map namin? Legit, kahit signal ng telepono, wala po. Tatawid kami ng ilog, naka 4x4. Yun yung mga nire-reach namin na communities. And we hope to serve those communities because sila yung tumatawid ng ilog, 43 kilometers po to 80 kilometers yung they drive around that radius just to purchase agri-supplies. 2 to 3 towns away po from their farm. Ano po to? Customer journey mapping data. Ganon din po ako. May farm po ako. Yung farm po namin nasa 5th class municipality. 1-hour drive to the nearest agri-supply. Yun po yung reason kung bakit. One of the reason bakit may Go Eden right. But look at the speed. Like average download speed sa Philippines is 81.42 Mbps. Kaawa-awa. Singapore is 225. China is 223. Mobile internet speed, 25.12 Mbps. And 202 ang South Korea, 165 ang China. Towers na lang po. Indonesia has 90,000. Vietnam has 70,000. Even if we have like the best super apps out there, if, Diyos ko po, yung mga ka-remote-remote na farming villages are not supported with, baka naman may magpapa-Starlink dyan, di ba? But Starlink has been useful, like Starlink sa mga remote areas, very, very useful. But how can we move forward kung ganito yung infrastructure support? Tech can be here, but if tech is running here, infra support should be here, parallel with policy support. Lahat po yan side by side umaakyat dapat. Next, ayun po. Yun, bukod sa infra support, napapansin po namin even IEC materials from various universities, research institutions, even some government entities, naka-English po. Ang apps at platforms po naka-English. Hindi po dun ganun kadali para sa farmers yun ha. Kasi even for us, we assist our farmers on sign-up pages. So, baka po, if user experience-wise, sana maging Tagalog po lahat. Kasi we ask ourselves, sino ba ang end user ng platform? Hindi naman po tayo. Madali sa atin. Sa end user, madali ba? So, second, are farmers part of the app development process? Are there feedback collected on user interface and experience? Font size lang po yan ha. Font size, font color, ilang clicks ang pinag-uusapan that can make or break your usage and repeat rate ng paggamit ng farmer sa app mo or web platform mo. So, sana po wag tayong ma-obsess sa innovation, ma-obsess tayo kung ano yung kailangan sa baba. Because technology and all this innovation, they don't always have to be like complicated, di ba? Sometimes we spend a lot of over-engineered solutions to very simple problems in the field. Baba po kayo, get to know your customers, know their pain points, then you would know the solution is not always complicated and it's not always AI-backed. Okay, so yun po siya. And then, yun po, we've noticed this, ang daming innovation-centric na models and hindi talaga ginagamit ng farmer. We ask them our clients. We have a database of all apps out there by private and government. Sir, ginagamit niyo po ba to? Hindi. Hindi namin alam yan. Sir, ba't di niyo po to ginagamit? Then they tell us yung reasons nila. And then, yeah, of course, the traditional behaviors and practices, which I've already said a while ago. And yun nga, walang support din on tech education. But I know that ATI, through their DFP with SMART and the government is doing this, but kailangan pa natin ng more. That's why hindi to role ng isang industry, ng isang entity lang. Kami din po. Our tech caravans, as in magdadala kami ng router ng internet. Connect po kayo sa Wi-Fi. Buksan niyo po yung smartphone. I-download niyo po yung ganito. Education po. Digital literacy will be like a critical role, will play a critical role on adoption. Mass adoption po ng tech. And then, yun po, lack ng protection for customers from scams. We cannot possibly justify our entity for the next 5 years na lahat ng conversation sa Go Eden magsisimula na legit po kami. Yun po yung unang namin yun ang unang prompt sa Facebook namin. Good morning po, legit po kami. Tapos send kami ng proof of legitimacy. Like, wala po kami sa brand introduction, nasa crisis management, yung marketing funnel po namin. Crisis management, brand introduction, conversion, then customer loyalty. Hindi po dapat ganun yung marketing funnel. Okay? Now, what are the policy and regulatory, 5 more minutes, regulatory issues for digital players in the market? One po, ito po real time po to ha. Wala po akong intention manira ng kahit anong platform. These are actual like happenings in the field. The selling of regulated products, ano po ba yung mga produkto na nire-regulate ng gobyerno natin? These are fertilizer and pesticides regulated by the Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority of the DA. We have vaccines, biologics, and other, I think, feed products. Not sure if nalipat na to entirely sa BAI, but some section of this are still with FDA. So yun po, hindi ka pwede magbenta dapat kung wala kang license to operate. Nasa batas po yan. But we have seen the selling of regulated products and other agri-inputs on various mainstream e-commerce platforms and online marketplaces. Ano po yung challenge? The orange and the blue ones, they're cross-border marketplaces. It means supplies from Southeast Asia can be purchased there. You can see, shipping from Indonesia, shipping from mainland China. So how do we regulate that? Eh yung mga products na yon sa batas, dapat marehistro muna sa Pilipinas bago ibenta para ma-assess yung safety nila because fertilizer and pesticides are inherently harmful to humans. Diba? Enforcement of law and regulatory, yun nga po yung sinasabi kanina. Kailangan mag-adapt po yan, lahat ng laws natin kasi nagdi-digitize, pero yung laws po natin, pang traditional brick and mortar pa din. Hindi naman pwedeng we get to be penalized, we want to advance the status of modernization ng agri, tapos yung policies counterintuitive to it. Pa. And then, how do we ensure product quality? Next. Ayan. So, nagkakaroon na ng proliferation ng list of restricted and prohibited products sa JAO 2022-01. So, the Joint Administrative Order is between FPA, DTI, and other regulatory bodies. Simula to nung pandemic, nung sobrang daming nag-proliferate na online transaction. It took effect in April 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So the problem here is that ang daming products sa blue and orange platforms that may or may not be registered with the FTA as well as counterfeit regulated products these platforms. And that's inherently dangerous sa farmers natin. Bumibili po tapos peke, libo-libo po ang nilalabas ng farmers sa agri-input supplies tapos po peke yung transaction nila. Though paano kami, di ba? Kami ang liit-liit namin na entity, nagko-comply kami and we just want an even playing field. Not because we want gain, but because we want to make sure na best quality po yung mabigay sa kliyente natin. Last few slides. Yan po. Ayan po. Nasa orange platform po yan. Paano po yan mabibili ng farmer? Pero may bumili po ha. Ganyan po yung characters. So, the incomplete product information on most e-commerce, hindi po zoomable. Information on the label is not fully shown to buyers. May Chinese and Thai characters. Products like fruit and pesticides are repacked and yung repacking niya, they do not adhere to regulatory standards. Nasa supot po ng ice candy. Hindi po joke to. Search niyo po sa Shopee. Oh, not online sellers have licenses to operate. Kasi po itong mga sellers na to, they just purchase inventory and sell. What do they know on expiry, on CPR, on viability dates? So yun po yung ina-ask namin na i-regulate. And then, yun po, example po nito, spread of pests and diseases. Banana po, binibenta on platforms. Ano pong assurance natin na virus index po yan? Yung binibenta po namin sa GoEden Virus Index po ha. BBT, hindi po kami nagkakalat ng BBT, ng banana bunchy top virus. So very careful po tayo as to how we ship these types of inputs, di ba? Napo-forward po ang expired products, extreme variability in pricing. Meron pong product ang university dito. So we only sell it at like 80 pesos. On main e-commerce platforms po, it's sold at 350 pesos. Crazy. But farmers are buying it, di ba? So yun po yung danger. Because the manufacturers, they lose control as to who forwards their products in the market. So they cannot cross-check the legitimacy and authenticity of the products anymore. And yun po, I would like to end by saying that kami po, with the limited space that we're given, when we want to create maximum localized impact through digitalization of the agri-sector, we have to create positive experiences for users. One, typo error po, involve the farmers in the innovation process. Two, support innovation with infrastructure. And three, protect customers. Enforcement of policies, laws, and regulations. So, yun lang po, hinihingal na ako. Thank you very much po.
Thank you so much po. Thank you, Ms. Juca, for sharing your experiences, strategies, and enthusiasm in addressing our farmers' trust issues. Okay, at this point, we are opening the floor for just one question. Just one request po. Please use the mic so our Zoom participants can hear po. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Juka, for the presentation. Ako ay connected sa isang accelerator program sa South and Southeast Asia. So ang question ko is, sa presentation mo, and dun sa talk mo kanina, sa pagiging panelist, it seems na sobrang daming problema na hinaharap, no? And ngayon na nilitanya mo yung paramihan, saan dapat magsimula ang gobyerno sa dami ng problema? Ano dapat yung, kung ikaw ang tatanungin, ano yung unang-una dapat nilang isolve among a myriad of problems? Thank you.
Ang hirap naman po nun, sir. Kaya nga wala ako sa government. Joke lang po. Thank you po. Alam niyo po, totoo po yun. Kami po, hindi po naman kami nagagalit. Ang punto lang ho namin is, kakampi niyo po kami. Pero paano po kami? Like, it's like you're a car. You want to drive 120 on the expressway. Pero ang speed limit is 80. Paano ka? How do you want to advance tech? Sa akin po, sir, is i-revisit po lahat ng mainstream regulatory policies on agri, if not regulatory, anything affecting data, digitalization, and ma-include po sa clauses how, kasi po kami po, halimbawa sir, FPA license, hinihingan po kami ng warehouse. Wala po kaming warehouse because our strategy is dropshipment. Kinailangan ko pa pong sumulat ng katakot-takot na sulat para po sabihin na dropshipment yung strategy namin. So why would now policy tell me how would I run my business, how I want to innovate around the gray areas in the industry? I think po kailangan i-update lahat ng policies to involve digital market players and as to how they would enforce these policies differently sa digital players. Halimbawa, sir, kami po, walang warehouses. So ano dapat yung chine-check? Kung online entity ka, di ba? Dapat may mayor's permit ka. Kung wala kang warehouse, in lieu of that, may back office man lang ba? Mga ganun po. Napakaliliit po na bagay ng mga yan, but it's hampering our operations. Isang taon po bago ko nakakuha ng license to operate. Merely because the law doesn't have any provision or mention of digital entities. Presidential Decree 1144 po yan, FPA. So, hindi, ano pa lang po to? Isa pa lang po to. I'm sure ang dami pa po on drone use, on pesticide use on drone application, on logistics. So, ako po, I'll start with regulated products kasi po yun yung inherently harmful sa tao and sa environment. And yun po, alarming po. Hindi ko po alam bakit di alarming sa kanila. Kami po ang natatakot on behalf ng farmers. We don't even care about sales. Like, there's enough space for everyone to make money in that sector. Pero hindi siya sales issue sa amin. Ang concern po namin, safety ng kliyente. Kasi po hindi tested yung level ng harm nitong mga active ingredients na to if the products are not registered CPR sa Philippines. So yun po.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Juka. So that ends our breakout session on